if we won, Mitt and I planned on doing this year, you know, saving Medicare, saving Medicaid, saving Social Security, doing tax reform. That ain't gonna happen because we didn't win. We understand that. We get that.
Paul Ryan sits down for his first interview with a national publication since the election. Welcome to Seib and Wessel on WSJ.com. I'm Jerry Seib. Paul Ryan, House Budget Committee Chairman and unsuccessful Republican vice presidential candidate in 2012, sat down with us this week to talk about the budget battles in the Capitol and what it's like to lose a presidential election. Let's have a listen.
I don't think they're going to want to reform entitlements like we want to or we should. And there are people who agree with us on how to reform these entitlements from the other side of the aisle. But I don't see any great desire to do fundamental entitlement reform. That means we'll have to do things that buy us time. What we're worried about is a culture of dependency that drains and saps people of making the most of their lives. We're not talking about Medicare, Social Security entitlements. We're talking about, do we have an economic policy of social mobility, of upward mobility? Are we attacking poverty at the root causes, or are we simply merely treating the symptoms of poverty to make it easier to tolerate and therefore perpetuate it?
You say the thing you expect, your goal is to get a big down payment on the debt. How do you expect to do that with a Democratic Senate and a Democratic president without having some revenues?
He already got his revenues. Well, but our goal is to, if we're not going to pass a plan to get the budget on a good path in one plan, like, you know, if we won, Mitt and I planned on doing this year, you know, saving Medicare, saving Medicaid, saving Social Security, doing tax reform, preventing a debt crisis, economic growth policies, immigration reform, the whole gamut. That ain't going to happen because we didn't win. We understand that. We get that. So we want to try in installments, get a down payment year by year on preventing a debt crisis, on balancing the budget, and getting this debt under control. The reason we feel compelled to do this is because if we don't, we will have a serious problem in this country. I mean, look, if interest rates go on us, and that's a whole other conversation, we lose control of our fiscal situation.
If you don't do dividends and capital gains, you are not going to get a top rate at that level. Are dividends and capital gains out of bounds?
Yeah, I've never really, I mean, I think there's a good argument to have between ordinary income and capital income, and how capital income is risk-based income and helps growth. But if your rates are getting low enough, then the difference between the two is not as severe with respect to growth effects. So I think that debate ought to be open with respect to tax reform. I don't despair. I think despair is wrong. I gave up despair for Lent last time. So, you know, clearly I thought about the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I already got that. I already processed that thinking after the election, during the holidays, during the Thanksgiving and Christmas time, New Year's time. You know, the thing is, I had to jump right back into work. So you basically have to dust yourself off and get back to work. I mean, John called me Wednesday morning and asked me to come back as budget chair and to pick up where I left off, and I automatically did. I didn't really think I would. It never occurred to me that I'd do anything else. So no, what I regret and what I thought about was, this isn't one of those elections where we were going to go this way or that way, a subtle shift to the left or a subtle shift to the right. That's not this kind of, this is an election where we go this way versus that way. So knowing what we were planning on doing, from working with Mike Levitt on the Readiness Project, knowing what we were going to do with the charm offensive we were going to launch with Senate Democrats, and the entitlement reforms we were going to embrace, and the tax reform we were going to embrace, and all the energy things that we thought would be helpful for growing the economy, and now knowing that that's not going to happen, that is disconcerting. That's regretful.
You can't still launch that charm offensive?
But sure. I mean, those friends are still there. The problem is we're not in the position of the White House, of control. We're in the minority party. We're not in the majority party. So it's you know, I note the difference in the direction of the country as a result of this election. I regret that. But I think what you do in these situations is you pick yourself off. I look at the glass of life as being half full. I'm just that kind of a person. And I'm generally an eternally optimistic person because in America, we fix our problems. We might not necessarily fix them in the timeline that I was hoping we would, but I think we'll fix them. I feel pretty good about our chances of avoiding a debt crisis, of turning this economy around, of making sure that our kids grow up with a better future, and of reigniting upward mobility, social mobility. And I think we'll get there. It just won't be as clean and quick and easy as I thought we would.